Well, Shana Tova, everybody.
Shana Tova.
There are a lot of things we can say to each other this morning. We can say Shana Tova. We can say Shabbat Shalom because it's Shabbat as well. So Shabbat Shalom. And we can say another long word. We can say Gamar Chatima Tova. That's a big one. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And we can say what we learned last week. We can say Shana Yoter Tova, to a better year ahead. So there are lots of ways that we can say hello to each other. And another way that we can say hello to each other, we just sang. We can say Hine Matov. How good is it that we get to be together today? And it is so, so good that we get to be together, not just on this Shabbat, but on this really, really special day. One of my friends that is here, one of my little tiny human friends, someone raise their hand and tell me what day is today besides Shabbat. What day is today? What day is today? Yom Kippur, exactly. Today is Yom Kippur. We're going to talk about what that means today. But we are so lucky to have lots of special people here in the room and on the bima. We, of course, are joined by Cantor Shemesh, who is going to help lend her voice to our music this morning. And, of course, Rabbi Maznitsky, our president, Greg Paradise, and a very special gentleman who we're going to hear from in a little bit, Alan Krieger, over here. So whether you are here with sleepy eyes this morning, whether you are here already, maybe just a little bit hungry, whether you are here to have fun and excitement, whether you are here to be able to be at rest and at peace, either way, we welcome you and we look forward to you helping us celebrate this Yom Kippur day. We are going to be once again today not having to worry about those red books that are in front of us. Those red books are our machzor, what we use for the High Holy Days. But we are going to be looking up at our screen at our visual machzor for our family service today. So everything you need is going to be up there, and it's also going to be here because it is made so much better by you guys talking and singing along with us when you see it up here on the screen. So we're going to talk about that day that we just heard about, that day of Yom Kippur, and what does that mean? And up on our screen, guy kind of looks sad, right? Yeah. Because today, we're going to have some fun in here, but it's not the happiest of days, as Rabbi Maznitsky taught us yesterday. It's also not the saddest of days, but it's a really, really important day. So this says up here, today is Yom Kippur, one of the most special days of the year. So what do we do today that makes it so special? We say sorry for all the things we haven't done and all of the things we should have done. So help me out. You guys are going to read this with me. Ready? We'll read it together. Like not cleaning our room, or not keeping our promises, or not telling the truth, because not telling the truth
seems easier.
We say sorry for all the things we haven't done and we probably should have done. Like fighting with our brothers and sisters or friends.
Saying things that we knew weren't nice, being mean to our friends, or hurting their feelings.
I'm not going to make anyone raise their hands, but I want us to think for 1 second. Just think, you don't have to tell me, because you're just going to tell yourself. If you think that maybe at some point over this last year, we fought with our brothers and sisters, fought with our friends, say things that weren't the nicest in the world, maybe we're mean, maybe we're hurt someone's feelings. If you think that might be something that kind of speaks to what the last year was like, then you're in the right place. Yom Kippur is a time for saying I'm sorry and for really meaning it. On Yom Kippur, we remember what we did so we can try and do better. Last week, we learned the words and the song of Ma Tovu, and I told you the story. If you remember, it was kind of like Shrek, where we had this donkey who was taking this person, and they wanted to say all of these really mean things, and instead all of these beautiful things came out. Those are the words of Ma Tovu that we sang last week, and we're going to sing them again together this week to welcome in Yom Kippur. you remember, if you were here last week, but even if you weren't here last week, you might remember, you might notice that things are a little different today. We talked last week, one of the things that's different is what? Oh yes, someone said the candle. So you can see we have this really special candle that is lit right here. This is our memorial candle, because right now, not only are we thinking a lot about the last year for ourselves, but we're thinking about the last year for all of our Jewish friends and family everywhere, and especially all of our friends and family in Israel. So we have our memorial candle lit. What else is different about what I'm wearing or what the cantor is wearing? What do you think? Yeah, we're wearing white. We're wearing these fancy white robes, and so are our friends that are sitting in the ark, which we'll see in a little bit. So we see some things differently, some things look different here. We also said some things are going to sound different. And we talk about things that are sounding different. We talk about things throughout our service. So some things sound the same. That Ma Tovu, we can sing any Shabbat we get together. But some things are going to sound different. So things like the Baruch that might sound a little different if you come on a Friday night normally are going to sound a little different here, because we are supposed to realize from our sight, from our sounds, sometimes even from our taste buds, but today that's extra special, because grown-ups today are usually, everyone does their own thing, but usually traditionally are not going to eat or drink anything today until the sun goes down. I know, those people that have early breakfast are like, oh my gosh, you're letting the cat out of the bag. So today we're supposed to feel a little hungry on the inside, we're supposed to look a little different on the outside, and now we're supposed to hear things differently in our ears. So we're going to stand up for the Baruch Hu like we usually do, but we're going to listen to the cantor and join her as she sings it a special way for the High Holy Days. So if you walked into a synagogue anywhere in the world right now and you didn't know what time of the year it was and you just had your ears open and you heard that tune, you could say, oh, it's the High Holy Days. That's what's so special about it. And always with our Baruch Hu, we have a very special prayer that goes with it, and that is the words of the Shema. So we see the words of the Shema on the screen, and together we're going to stay standing as we sing those words. Whenever we read the Shema, we always read another thing right after it. And that's because it tells us all about why we do what we do, why we have certain things in certain places. And those are the words of the V'ahavta up on the screen. So please join with us as together we chant the words of the V'ahavta.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך וקשחתך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We talked last week and we talked last night, if anyone was here for Kol Nidre, about the idea that our service, our liturgy, our tradition tells us that when we get together, there are certain things we can't take for granted. And one of the things that's important to remember every time we're together is the idea that we have this gift of freedom. And it wasn't always such, that we were very much once not able to have the freedoms that we have today, that there are still people in the world that don't have the freedoms we have today. And so we are always remembering the idea that that is a gift that we shouldn't take for granted. And the way that we do that in our service each and every time is to talk about the words of the Mi Chamocha, the words that we sang as we were walking to freedom through the Red Sea with the walls of the sea on either side of us. And as we walked through, we sang these words. We sang this version last week, so if you remember it, please join us. If not, it's very catchy. Sing along with us.
And every time we say freedom, please lift your hands and do this, okay? When we say freedom. Standing at the sea, we come over. Standing at the sea, we come over. Standing at the sea, we come over. Freedom's over.
Let's try that again.
Standing at the sea, we come over. Standing at the sea, we come over. Standing at the sea, we come over. Freedom's on our way. Freedom, 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 freedom's on our way. Freedom, 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 freedom's on our way.
Singing and dancing.
Singing and dancing.
Dancing,
We come over, singing and dancing. We come over, singing and dancing. We come over, freedom's on our way. Singing and dancing, we come over, singing and dancing. We come over, singing and dancing. We come over, freedom's on our way. Freedom, 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 freedom's on our way. Freedom, 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 freedom's on our way.
Well, one of the things that we have the chance to do when we come together every time, whether it is J School on Sundays, whether it is family service on Rosh Hashanah, or whether it is family service on Yom Kippur, is, and I know this is a biggie, and this is why you guys are here, this is why everyone woke up this morning, why everyone got in their finest Yom Kippur dress, and that is because you're saying to me, Rabbi Greenbaum, what is the word of the day? Right? Yes, I know. I can read it in your eyes. And I don't have the answer, but I know someone who does. And so I'm going to invite Rabbi Mazditsky to come up here and share with us our very special Yom Kippur word of the day. course.
Well, everyone knows that I only have one rule when you come into the sanctuary. Just one. You have to learn at least one new thing. So far, who's learned one new thing? Oh, I think we need a few more hands raised. That means you're going to learn the word of the day. The special word of the day. Are you ready?
Drum roll.
Oh, slicha. Slicha. Can I hear you say that? Slicha. It means when you're running down the hall and you bump into someone, what are you going to say? Slicha, excuse me. When you're not too nice to someone and you don't share, what are you going to say? Slicha, please forgive me. Sorry. Let me all hear now. Remember, slicha comes from deep within. Ready? Slicha. Let's hear it. Slicha. It means all those words that we have so many words for in English, but in Hebrew there's just one. Excuse me. Pardon me. I'm sorry. Slicha. And indeed, that is a word not just for today, but for every day of the year. We have to learn how to say Slicha. All right, now who's learned something new today? Woo! Excellent, excellent. So when I meet you in the hallway and say, what is the word of today? It is Slicha.
We're going to practice it, Rabbi.
Ooh, excellent.
We're going to practice the word slicha. Exactly. Sadness is ready to say slicha. So join with me with the words on the screen, please. Slicha. We are sorry we are not as good as we could have been this past year. We are sorry we didn't always try hard enough to do the right thing. Slicha. We are sorry for any sadness we have caused others to feel. We are sorry for the things we should have done and didn't. Slicha. We are sorry for the things we shouldn't have done but did. And we are sorry for the things we didn't even know we were doing wrong. So our word of the day is slicha, and that is something we are saying a lot today. It's something we are supposed to have been saying a lot over the last 10 days of Tshuva, and now we have our final opportunity to not just say sorry to everyone else, but to say sorry to ourselves and to spend the day trying to figure out how we can try and not make the same mistakes in our year ahead. And speaking of that, speaking of trying to do good things in the year ahead, I want to introduce our president, Greg Paradise. Because here at Temple Har Shalom, when you do good things, when you do mitzvot that are super, super, super big and important for our congregations and give so much of yourself, we have a very special way to honor those people. So I am going to invite up our president, Greg Paradise, to share with you a few words about someone very special who is doing wonderful things.
Thank you, Rabbi Greenbaum. So each year, we induct one or more people into our Sefer Avodah, our book of service. Of all the honors a Temple Har Shalom can bestow upon one, this ranks as highly as they come. Last week during Rosh Hashanah, I spoke, or for this service you probably just read in our email, about how the temple was strong, both financially and operationally. Much of this strength was inherited from my predecessor and this year's honoree, immediate past president Jonathan Wishnia, who we coaxed to come inside just now. He's hiding in the corner. Well, with my taking on a second term of president, it kept John around on the exec board for another 2 years, which is a good thing, as John's continued advice is greatly appreciated. During John's 4 years as president, he was presented with many unique challenges. He navigated us through a preschool acquisition and integration that has been tremendously successful on many levels. He kept us financially responsible. That has led to tremendous accomplishments such as paying off our mortgage and fully funding a robust capital expense fund. And he navigated us through COVID, including some of the only in-person High Holy Day services anywhere in the world that year at the Somerset Patriots ballpark. This was all possible because John's attitude has always been to resist saying no to ideas. If it is something that could benefit the temple, he sits down with everyone and tries to figure out how to make it happen, even if that is such an outlandish idea as High Holy Day services at a baseball stadium, or buying a preschool out of a bankruptcy auction, or fully paying off a temple's mortgage. Most would have found a dozen reasons why they all couldn't be done. John got to yes. Thus, we thank John for his fervent support of Temple Har Shalom and are honored to welcome him into the Sefer Avodah. Thank you, John.
We get to a special part of our service where we ask another important question. We say, am I awake and am I prepared? We come to the section called Tefillah, which was one of our words of the day from Rabbi at J School. Tefillah means? Prayer. So we get to the section that is just called Tefillah, that is called the prayer. That's how big and important it is for us. And like that being big and important, and like today on Yom Kippur, we have lots of things we want to say out loud, but also lots of things we want to say deep inside of us. We're going to do the same thing with our tefillah. So we're going to begin together. We're going to chant the first part together, including one special section for the High Holy Days. But then we are going to get really, really quiet. So when you see me tell you guys that you can sit down in a second, and I put my finger like this, and I start talking really quiet, that's going to be our cue to try and be quiet for just a few minutes. Okay, so that's going to be our little practice right there. All right, so we are going to stand up together as we begin tefillah with the words up on our visual tefillah. And now we're going to leave the written word of our service as we all are seated, as we take a few moments to finish our silent Amidah, to look deep inside of ourselves, to think about the things we are working on here on Yom Kippur, and to listen to that voice that's deep in here, that voice that's kind of in the back of our head, that tells us when we're doing something good, when we're doing something bad. So we're going to spend just a minute listening to that voice.
Shalom bimromo, uyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromo, uyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromo, uyase shalom aleinu. Uyase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu le'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu le'al kol Yisrael. Uyase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu le'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu le'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu le'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu le'al kol Yisrael.
Well, I told you we had a lot of special friends up here with us today, and I promised you I would make a quick introduction to the gentleman sitting over here. It has been a long time since he has had the opportunity to be in a family service, because Alan and Lori Krieger's kids grew up here at Temple Har Shalom. They saw many of their life cycle events here, and Alan has remained a long-term, committed, and active member in our community, including someone for whom I had the pleasure of journeying to Israel with this past July in a truly life-changing moment. So it is my pleasure to invite to address our congregation today on this day of Yom Kippur, our congregant, a leader here at Temple Har Shalom, and a friend, Alan Krieger.
Thank you. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom with Yom Tov and to a better year. As proof that history has a way of repeating itself, I was given the honor of addressing our congregation 23 years ago during Yom Kippur services, the year 5762, September 27th, 2001, only 16 days after 9/11 and 19 days after our daughter's bat mitzvah. And now I stand here again, a year after the devastating October 7th attack on the state of Israel. My family have been members of Temple Har Shalom since 1990, formerly known as Mountain Jewish Community Center. It's good to get a historical perspective of where we've been, where we are, and where we want to go or want to be. It gives us the opportunity to reflect and ask ourselves, why are we members of Temple Har Shalom? For me, this year has been a bit of an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. Sadly, I lost both of my parents, my mom in April at age 93, and Dad about 10 weeks later at age 94. We welcomed our fourth grandchild into the world, and God willing, our fifth in about 3 months, and to our recent surprise, our sixth in about 5 months. Just as we recite during these holiest of days, how many shall pass away, how many shall come to be? My years here at Temple Har Shalom have gone by pretty quickly, but the constant is that Temple Har Shalom is still standing and is strong with an engaged, dedicated, and devoted clergy and lay leadership, an attentive administrative staff, active youth and students, an inclusive and vibrant sisterhood and men's club, and our fellow congregants who continue to work and volunteer for the greater good of our community. I would like to share with you something my mother wrote several days before she passed away. It's called Nachas, or Joy, Why I Am Grateful by Estelle Krieger. And I would like to dedicate it to all of you, all of the families here today. I am grateful for my family because I have an exceptional family, because I had exceptional parents. My parents were European, and my mother wanted so badly to learn English and asked me to bring books home for her. My parents loved their children. They were well-rounded in every way, considering they were not born in the United States. They both came from Austria and had a family gathering every month in each other's house. My family only married people from their homeland. I knew I was loved and how much they loved their grandchildren too. I learned from them that family came first, so I did the same for my own children, and it paid off. I did with them what I learned from my parents. I hope these high holy days and the joyous holidays that follow are meaningful and spiritually fulfilling, and that whatever your contribution will be today, it comes from your heart and not from obligation. Thank you for the honor of being here today.
As Alad made mention, there are cards outside the door that explain more about the importance of our Kol Nidre appeal, as well as a QR code and URL right on the screen up there. We won't burden you with extra things in your hands right now with all of your kids in tow. So we continue with our service with a very special section. I'm leaving you in suspense. And that's yeah. Give us 1 second. So while we're getting this all just sorted out real quick, Cantor is going to teach us a very, very, very special song. I'm going to put the words up in a second. But we're going to talk about why we sing that in a second. But I'm going to let Cantor teach you the song when we get our show back on the screen.
So on Yom Kippur, there's a custom, a very interesting custom, a part of choreography, as we say, for our prayers. We tap our heart very gently, to say when we are sorry that we really mean it, okay? And it comes from our heart. So we tap it gently and we say different things that we are sorry for. So we're gonna sing a song called Tap Your Heart, special song for Yom Kippur. Tap, tap, tap your heart, tap, tap, tap your heart, tap, tap, tap your heart. On Yom Kippur, it's time to restart, because it's time for renewal and to start over, to correct our mistakes, right? And then each time I sing something, you just repeat after me. We've made mistakes.
We've made mistakes.
We've done wrong things.
We've done wrong things.
But this is what the new year brings.
The new year brings.
A chance to change.
A chance to change.
A chance to grow.
A chance to grow.
With one first step.
With one first step.
Nice and slow.
Nice and slow.
Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. On Yom Kippur, it's time to restart. And there is also a very interesting traditional melody that we sing, which is actually in a major key, which means it's a happy melody, even though we're saying we're sorry and it's a little bit sad, but there is always hope for change, and that's why it's in major, in a very happy key. Let's try it. I die 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 ya da die 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 ya da die 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 ya da die die die.
Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. On Yom Kippur, it's time to restart. Thank you, Cantor. So when we talked about why we tap our heart, Cantor was teaching us that really cool song that fits with that really traditional melody. And that's because when we're talking about this time of the year, we are talking about these things called chets. Chet, you try it, say chet.
Chet.
With the matzo ball stuck here. Chet. Chet. We talk about a chet. And a chet is a way that we miss the mark. So imagine, we did last year at Yom Kippur if you were here, but imagine you have a bow and arrow, you're at camp. How many people go to sleepaway camp? Go to day camp? A lot of day camp, yeah. So we have our arrow, we take it back and we try and hit the target, and does it hit right in the middle? Yours might, mine does not. Mine goes this way and that way and up and down and left and right. So when we miss the mark, we have a chet. So we say when we make a mistake, when we do the wrong thing, or when we just miss the mark, in Hebrew we call that a chet. So join with me. May it be your will, Adonai, our God, to forgive our sins and grant us a new beginning. For during this past year, we have all missed the mark. And usually what we say in our service, you see it up there, Al chet shekatanu lefanecha, for the chets we have committed against you. And so when we're in a service, when we're in the big traditional service here, or just that you saw from the cantor, we can tap our heart like that. And that is the way to say that every time we have a chet we're thinking of, every time we did something that we're not super proud of, we're just giving ourselves just a little reminder that it probably wasn't the best thing to do. So join me together for all the chets we have committed against you. God of forgiveness, pardon us, grant us a new beginning. Together with all of those things that we hope that we do better for next year, with all those chets that we hope that we do better for next year, we have a very special song that we sing during the High Holy Days that reminds us of the power of the day. And so I'm going to invite Cantor and Rabbi to open our ark for us, because when we sing this song, we always open the ark up. We look at our friends, those beautiful white-clad Torahs. We ask everyone to please rise and join us as we sing the words of Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vanenu, Yeimanu Vasi. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vanenu, Yeimanu Vasi. Asei Imanu, Tzedaka v'chesed. Asei Imanu, Tzedaka v'chesed, ve'otienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Vanenu, Yeimanu Vasi. And with our ark open comes the next part of our service. We talked about it last week. It is the highlight of why we are here, the highlight of what's in front of us, because here come the Torahs. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ulevar Adonai Yerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Shemo. So as our Torah is walking around, we call that a hakafah. When you see the Torah going around, you can wave at it, you can blow it a kiss. If you're wearing a talit, you can touch it. You have a prayer book in front of you, you can do that. You can take your hand and touch it. You can do whatever you want to show us how important that Torah is. And it is our honor to give the privilege of the hakafah today to our own Alan Krieger. To join us with us on the words on the screen for Ashdoshta. Ashdoshta devarim, You may be seated, everybody. So we're going to talk just for a second about what is in that Torah that we read from today. Before we can do that, we have to give a special blessing, and I think the blessing goes to everyone who is with us today, everyone who has joined us for this Yom Kippur day, everyone who has spent the last year trying to be the best that they could. So please, everyone in the congregation, join me with the blessing before the Torah up here. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamurach, Baruch Adonai Hamurach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai Hamurach le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch ata Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen. We read from a really special portion this week called Nitzavim. Nitzavim, and it means you stand, even though you're sitting. It means you stand. And that's because it talks about every one of us being together, every one of us being responsible to remember the things that are in that Torah. It's a big thing to think about on Yom Kippur, that everywhere in the world right now at this time, all of the Jews that are around there are celebrating the same thing. We are thinking about the same things. And it doesn't matter whether you're in New Jersey, it doesn't matter whether you are in Portugal, it doesn't matter whether you have been someone who has been at synagogue every single day, like everyone here, or you've only stepped foot in the synagogue a few times a year. It doesn't matter. We have a shared responsibility on Yom Kippur to take everything in and to make it our own. So those are the words that we traditionally read from Nitzavim. We're going to talk about something just a tad different, though, today. All right. Hello, hello. All right, Matt, I'm going to have you put my other story up on the screen. Because what was the word of the day that Rabbi had taught us? Slicha. And I heard people saying it when Rabbi was talking about it. Slicha means I'm sorry. Slicha was one of the very first words that I ever learned in Hebrew, because when I had my Hebrew professor, in college, she said the most important word that you have to learn if you're ever going to travel to Israel is the word slicha. Because whether you are pushed out of the way at the supermarket, whether you are run over by a car in the sidewalk, whether you missed your flight, the answer is always the same. The answer is always slicha. So slicha can be casual. It can be like, sorry, my bad, my B, slicha. Or on a day like today, it can be bigger and more important. It can mean something a little more weightier. It can mean something like this, where it says, I'm sorry. So Matt, have you put that to full screen? So this is a very special book called I'm Sorry. Yeah, I wish it was called Slicha. Called I'm Sorry. And this special story is about two very special people. I'm just going to make it full screen so we can see it here. Best laid plans. Hang on one second. Just try and pull the whole thing back to me. All right. Well, if I can't get it up on there, I'm going to read it from the book right here. There we go. All right. So, this book is called I'm Sorry. Who's the first character in my book? A flamingo. Enter flamingo. All right, flamingo, I'm gonna have you hang over here. Where's flamingo? Flamingo, are you okay? Say, potato hurt my feelings. Potato? Oh no, but you and Potato, you're such good friends. What happened?
We were having fun playing superheroes, so then he said something really
Potato said something really mean? Okay, Flamingo, I'll go talk to him. Enter Potato. Hi, Potato. Say it's not my fault.
not my fault.
Well, if it's not your fault, whose fault is it? Say it's mine. It's all my fault.
It's mine. It's all my fault.
It's all your fault. Oh, Potato. Potato says Flamingo will never want to be my friend again. Say, I feel terrible.
I feel terrible.
I think I know what would help. Say a sandwich.
A sandwich?
A sandwich? Is a sandwich going to help say I'm sorry?
Yes.
Might taste good. I don't know if it's going to say. No, not a sandwich, Potato. An apology. I want you to tell Flamingo you're sorry. Say, what about instead I go to the South Pole?
What about instead I go to the South Pole?
Potato says, what if I run to the South Pole to live with the penguins? Would that help?
Yes.
You think running away is going to help?
Yes.
I don't think a sandwich is going to help. I don't think running away is going to help. Potato says, what if I put on a disguise and I pretend I'm someone else? Yeehaw! Is that going to help if I put a disguise on? I don't know if that's going to help. I think you're still going to feel kind of bad on the inside. I don't think that's going to help, Potato. What if Potato gave Flamingo all of Potato's money? Would that help? I don't think that's going to help either. No. Yeah, exactly. Money does not buy happiness. Perfect. I agree. Potato says, good, because I don't have any money. Potato, you have to tell Flamingo you're sorry. See, now you get it. Potato says, but that's so hard. Saying I'm sorry is the hardest thing to say in the entire world, even harder than saying selenium to sodium, which is a fancy way of saying potato. Potato, do you feel sorry? Say, I feel the sorriest.
I feel the sorry.
You feel the sorriest. And you know what you did wrong, right? The wrongiest. Then you already did the tough part. Now, you just have to tell Flamingo. So Potato comes over. Potato says, yeehaw. Potato's dressed in a costume. Yeehaw! Howdy, partners! Mind if I play with you cowpokes? You say, I know it's you, Potato.
I know it's you, Potato.
Don't you have something you want to say to Flamingo? Flamingo, I just want to say, yes. Potato says, I was only joking. Wasn't my fault. Potato, you're not supposed to say it wasn't your fault. You're supposed to say, and what's Potato supposed to say? I'm sorry. Flamingo says,
You really hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And you say, I'm still pretty upset.
I'm still pretty upset.
And you say, I'm still so sorry. Potato says, I feel really, really, really bad about it, and I know there's nothing I can do to take it back, but I hope one day we can be friends again. And Potato says, I guess I'll just take my cowboy costume and go away. And Flamingo says,
Potato, it might be nice if I had someone to play with.
me? Say me?
Yes.
And it might be nice if I had a hug from my friend. I'm so sorry. Friends? High five, fist bump. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? But Potato says, it was really hard. but it was so, so worth it. And the penguins say, it's so hot, why did you bring me here? I'm sorry. Let's hear a big round of applause for our flamingo and our potato. Thank you, guys. So what do we learn from our story? We learned a couple things. We learned a couple things about Yom Kippur. Number one, running away, trying to throw money at it, hiding in disguise, pretending it didn't happen, none of that's gonna make us feel good on the inside. On Yom Kippur, we are given this roadmap. We're said that for thousands of years, there's this idea about maybe how we can feel good on the inside. Grown-ups know the feeling I'm talking about too. You have a fight with someone, you have a bad work meeting, you have a bad meeting with a client, you have one of those days where it is eating you away in the pit of your stomach. And until you resolve it, that pit stays there. But the moment you resolve it, the moment you have that difficult conversation, the moment you solve the problem, the moment you just say, I'm sorry, you suddenly feel better on the inside. That's what we learned today on Yom Kippur. So whether it is from our book, whether it is from our tradition, whether it is from you telling me about these things, we have a way to remember how to feel good on the inside, and that's to say, I'm sorry. And remember, Potato told us, it is not going to be easy. Saying I'm sorry can be really tough. So I have a way to help. On your way out today, when you leave, you are going to get an emotional support potato. That is exactly right. And your emotional support potato is going to be there for you all 5785. And grown-ups, I'm talking to you guys too. You take your emotional support potato, you hang it somewhere, you put it somewhere, you put it on a keychain, and when you know that you're supposed to say sorry, but you might not be able to get the words out, you're going to take your emotional support potato, you're going to hold him for a second, or her, or them, whatever it is. You're going to remember the story. You're going to get up the courage to say either I'm sorry, or you can say in Hebrew, slicha, and you're going to feel better. So on your way out, you're going to get our emotional support potato, wishing you French fries and latkes for $57.85. So join me with the blessing after the Torah, please. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nata lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. When we have a chance to come together, we also take just a moment and we think about those that might need a little extra healing in their lives. Maybe they're sick, they don't feel good, they're in the hospital, they've had a tough go at it, mentally, physically, emotionally. Those are the words of the Misha Berach. So if there is someone that is on your mind right now, you can think about them in your head, you can think about them in your heart, as together we sing the words of the Misha Berach. We have to return the Torah to return the ark. Look at that. Even better, we don't have to return the Torah to the ark. But you did even better than that. So we come to the part of our service, we usually return the Torah to the ark, and then we go to the next part of our service. Wait a minute. Next part of our service, it says a big stop sign. Yeah?
Stop what you're doing.
Stop what we're doing?
Go home.
You know what it is? You're exactly right. Stop what you're doing, except you're not supposed to go home, but yes. On Yom Kippur, our service suddenly stops. Usually we're used to the service concluding. There is an Aleinu, there is the yahrzeit prayer that we say, our mourner's Kaddish. We usually have a closing song, but on Yom Kippur, our service in the morning just stops, and it doesn't finish. Now there's two different ways that I look at that. One is it tells us not to finish, because it's a long day ahead of us. For those of us that are going to be here in the synagogue, we hope you will join us, grown-ups, kids alike. We are going to be here for a lot of the day, for our next services, for our learning opportunity, for our musical interlude with our cellist at 2:30, for our service this afternoon where we read the book of Jonah, for our service of Yizkor, for Na'ilah, for Havdalah. We're going to be here until the sun comes down. So the service says there's more to do today. But I look at it a bit of a different way. I think it means there's more for us to do today, not just here in the temple, but there's more for us to do this whole year. It doesn't just stop today. We don't just get to leave the synagogue and go, okay, great, I'm done. I've done my Yom Kippuriness for the year, and I can move on. Teshuvah, saying slicha, the idea of making ourselves feel good on the inside, doesn't stop. So even when we leave here, our service isn't going to stop. Our service goes on for the entire year to try to make ourselves be good people. But to remind us of that, to help us wake us up here at our family service, we are going to give you one little preview of what we usually do in the afternoon. And that is, we usually give one final blast of the shofar to wake us up for the year ahead. So if anyone has their shofar, if anyone has a shofar, we're going to give one big blast. And then we are going to close, not really the closing song, but we're going to sing the song we were singing before about tapping our heart, just to keep it on our mind. So, we're going to do our big, one last, Tekiah Gedolah. We're waiting for our friend Alan to come up here. So join with us for our last tapping of our heart.
Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart.
On Yom Kippur, it's time to restart. Gemar Chatima Tova. May you all be inscribed in the book of life for the year ahead. May you all have a year ahead that is full of ups and downs, but the ability to conquer those. And always remember that you have your emotional support pickle, as well as your congregation by your side. Potato, what did I say? Pickle?
Pickle.
Pickle too. Yeah, sorry. Oh, I'm thinking about pickles already, I know. Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom.